So it is state of the 49ers linebacker time. The best position group on this 49ers team this past year, linebacker. With Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw atop that unit, the 49ers had the best linebacking crew in the NFL. Remember, entering the season, it was still a little bit of a debate amongst national people. I don't think amongst 49ers people, they knew they had the best crew in the NFL. But people were trying to say Tampa Bay might have a better linebacking unit than the 49ers. That debate is over. The 49ers are on top. And some of the stats that I'm going to bring you with this look at the linebacking crew today might make your jaw drop. These guys are really good. And the day after Patrick Willis did not make the Hall of Fame in his second year of eligibility, I think it's fitting that we're talking about a tandem in Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw that is starting to evoke memories of the dominance that Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman showed the 49ers last decade. I'm not saying they're at that level yet. It's going to be hard to get to Willis Bowman level, but Warner and Dre Greenlaw are certainly on their way to doing something special because they already have accomplished so much. So if you want to check out State of the 49ers linebacker, I'm copying the link right now. I'm going to toss it into the comment section. How's everybody doing on this Friday afternoon? Hope everybody has a good Super Bowl weekend. 49ers, unfortunately, not playing, but still should be plenty of entertainment regardless. So there you go. The link is in the chat section. Link is also in the description. Let's talk the 49ers linebacker position. First of all, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, top duo in the NFL. Let's pop open the efficiency chart, which you can find in the article. Let's stretch this out a little bit further across the screen. And remember that blue is good and red is bad. Look at that. There is not a lot of red on that chart. There's actually so much blue that I made a text title for it. That's a lot of blue. The only red is down on the bottom right. And I list players according to how many snaps they took. So the top snap guys are at the top of this. Fred Warner led the way. Dre Greenlaw second. Dre Greenlaw had more tackles than Fred Warner. Then the third linebacker was Azeez Al-Shire. And then you had the reserves, Oren Burks and Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. And the only red you see here is in the passer rating allowed by Oren Burks and in the passer rating allowed and the yards per cover snap from Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. But of the 49ers starting three linebackers, the three that would start in a base 4-3 front, Warner, Greenlaw, Al-Shire, it's all above average metrics. Missed tackle percentage, yards allowed per cover snap. That's going to be obviously a coverage grade, and passer rating allowed into each player's coverage. It's blue across the board. Beyond that, Fred Warner shut off the middle of the football field in pass coverage. This is Geno Smith's spray chart from the Week 15 game in Seattle, where the 49ers clinched the division. Look at this. He did not attempt a single pass in between the hashes. That's remarkable. The most valuable part of the field for an offense is right here. I'm circling it, the middle of the field. Why do you think the 49ers attack the middle of the field so relentlessly with their offense? Because over here, this right here, the sideline, and this right here, the other sideline, that's essentially a defender. If you step on the sideline, it tackles you. Play is done. So you have more room to not work with that extra defender if you attack the middle of the field in the pass game. That's why the 49ers set up plays that attack in between the hashes or in between the numbers too. The numbers are over here, but in between the hashes, even better, even further away from the boundary. And they set those plays up for yards after the catch. Well, the Seattle Seahawks, when they played the 49ers, and it's not just the Seahawks, trust me, they just didn't attack the middle of the field. They didn't do that because they're afraid of Fred Warner. The Miami Dolphins attacked the middle of the field more than any other team in football this year. They faced the 49ers, and Tua Tagovailoa attempted 2 passes in between the hash marks. Teams that have played the 49ers since 2018, all teams combined, when Fred Warner has been playing, they have thrown more than 20 fewer times over the middle of the field than against other defenses. So other defenses have seen the second the second best defense at preventing passes over the middle of the field has seen 20 more throws to the middle of the field than the 49ers have since picking up Fred Warner. So these kind of spray charts are very, very common when it comes to how opposing offenses attack the 49ers defense. Now, Fred Warner, obviously awesome at pass coverage, maybe the most impressive play of the season, came in the divisional playoffs against Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, 200-pound receiver, running up the seam, so running up one of those hash marks that we saw on that spray chart. CeeDee Lamb blanketed 30-plus yards downfield by Fred Warner, who checks in at about 230 pounds. 30-pound advantage for CeeDee Lamb, at least in the quickness game. He's lighter, and Warner stayed with him stride for stride. Linebackers are not supposed to make those types of plays, but the 49ers linebackers can. And I can go back to this first chart right here. Warner and Greenlaw, both good in coverage, as you could see the metrics on your screen right now. Both good in coverage. But what's more is that they both saw so many opportunities in coverage because DeMeco Ryans and the 49ers defense trusted them as linebackers in coverage, which is not something that's particularly common in the NFL with so many adaptable skill position players. You see more DBs and more DB packages out there. But the 49ers are the number 2 run defense in football this year, in large part because they maintained their beef against the run, and they could afford to do that because their linebackers could cover in case the opposing team decides to pass. But Fred Warner ranked number 2 in pass coverage snaps amongst all linebackers in the NFL, and Dre Greenlaw ranked number 9. The 49ers were the only team in the entire league to have 2 linebackers ranked in the top 10 of pass coverage snaps this past season. Greenlaw missed 2 games due to injury. If he hadn't missed those games, he likely would have been in the top 5 in coverage snaps. So the 49ers not only would have had 2 linebackers in the top 10, they would have had 2 in the top 5. Let that sink in. The 49ers not only have guys who are capable of high volume pass coverage while maintaining quality pass coverage. There's blue here for a reason. But the 49ers also, on top of that, have linebackers that they trust to put in high volume pass coverage. And you look at the defense, and it was number 2 against the run, even though the defensive line was leaking oil this year. Our next state of the 49ers series going to be coming out on Monday is going to be on the D-line. And I just finished writing that. A lot of it's about how bad the D-line was outside of Nick Bosa this year. Against the run, too. So how'd they finish number 2 in run defense behind only Tennessee? They tackled in the open field. They tackled on the second level, 5 to 10 yards. The 49ers had the best linebackers in football, and they masked a lot of issues up front. And you could see it, in a very rudimentary fashion through this table. And then I mentioned that Fred Warner, besides shutting down the middle of the field in pass coverage, also delivered in run defense. Well, take a look at this. This is from Kevin Cole, who has a new calculus of player quality. It's plus minus, kind of like basketball, plus minus. He's able to measure impact on players on the field and when he's off of it. Fred Warner, look, top linebacker in the NFL, worth a point a game, according to Kevin Cole and his calculation. 16 points on the season, minus 0.9 per game. You want to be in the negatives as a defensive player. They say that Warner gets about half of his impact, minus 8.2 points, through coverage. And I think that the casual observer, maybe even me, maybe even I would think that Warner gets the vast majority of his impact through coverage because he's so good in coverage. We saw him do what he did against CeeDee Lamb. We saw what he did against Cooper Kupp earlier this year. People wouldn't really expect run defense to be at the equal efficiency to pass defense. But Kevin Cole's plus minus says that Fred Warner generated 8.2 points on coverage this year defensively and 7.9 points in run defense. Look how much better. Run defense is the very right column here. Look how much better Fred Warner is than the rest of the top linebackers in the league. Minus 7.9. So he's generating all those points over the course of his season in run defense. The other good linebackers, minus 1.7, minus 1.6. Go down here to Jawan Bentley, minus 3.5. That's good. It's nowhere near what Fred Warner generated, minus 7.9. So according to this, Fred Warner is easily the best all-around linebacker in football. If anything, the surprise here because we've seen Fred Warner play, how well he plugged gaps this year. I mean, all that was impressive. But if there's one big surprise here, it's that he's a little bit lower in pass coverage than guys like Matt Milano, TJ Davis, Demario Davis, TJ Edwards, Demario Davis, Jermaine Pratt, Tremaine Edmonds, minus 10.5. So Warner a bit lower than them, but he makes up for it with exemplary run defense as well. And other metrics would indicate that Fred Warner is also at the top of the game as far as pass defense. Let's get the linebacker article back up on the screen for you. We don't have the second jersey up on the wall yet. Like I said, it's going to be happening shortly. So instead, we can put linebacker articles up on the wall. Superimpose them, at least. All right, so what's next for the 49ers? Will Azeez Al-Shaair return? 49ers third linebacker, pending free agent? I don't think so. He got a lot of attention as a restricted free agent last offseason. If you get a lot of attention as a restricted free agent, there's a good chance that you're going to get a lot of attention as you approach unrestricted free agency. So I'm not really sure that the 49ers can count on Azeez Al-Shaair to re-sign with them. He's probably going to price himself out of their offering. That brings up Marcelino McCrary-Ball. He's on the practice squad this year. Everybody was saying, oh, this guy's fast. He had a few interceptions in training camp last year. He was great in press conferences. I mean, the guy talked and talked and talked. He was a good, positive force around the locker room in 2022. People had assumed that Marcelino McCrary-Ball was the 49ers' natural heir apparent for Azeez Al-Shaair. Slide him into that third linebacker role, or slide Oren Burks, who's still under contract this next year, into that third linebacker role. But, set a table for Marcelino McCrary-Ball to make the 53-man roster this year, maybe in Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles' former spot, and have the contingency plan clear. That way you keep that third linebacker position, which doesn't see nearly as many snaps as the top two, in a more cost-controlled manner. Now, the 49ers might have thrown a twist in that process last week when they handed out a bunch of reserve future deals, and those are usually given to members of the practice squad from the year prior, and they're minimum contracts that are handed out as essentially off-season contracts for the subsequent year. The one thing is that the only youngster from the practice squad last season that didn't get one of these reserve future deals was Marcelino McCrary-Ball, the player that people thought that the 49ers had bigger plans for moving forward. But listen, that might be the reason why Marcelino McCrary-Ball didn't get a reserve future contract. You don't have to sign a reserve future contract. You can also want something a little bit more lucrative. And maybe Marcelino McCrary-Ball impressed the 49ers so much that he's going to get something a little bit more lucrative, and he wasn't part of this first wave of signings. I don't know. We shall see. Right now, it's speculation. But as the 49ers build their team, I can help you stay apprised of it by showing you this depth chart. And this depth chart shows that there's going to be some room to fortify that linebacker position. Here we are, 46 players under contract. Linebackers highlighted. Right now you have Warner under contract for 2023, joined by Greenlaw, Oren Burks, who will have a starting role for the time being, and Curtis Robinson. Definitely think that you'd have room for Marcelino McCrary-Ball if you indeed decided to sign him. So that's where the 49ers are as far as the Marcelino McCrary-Ball question moving forward to next season. Still, though, the overarching theme here is that the 49ers have the strongest linebacker core in the league. And between what we saw from Fred Warner as the best backer in the league and Dre Greenlaw, an up-and-coming force who re-signed with the 49ers at the start of the 2022 season. So now they have him under some contractual control. The 49ers are looking really good in the here and now, but you want to keep on replenishing the position moving forward. Now, if you want a little bit of criticism, if you want something the 49ers can do better moving forward next year, Dre Greenlaw's got to stay away from the personal foul penalties. A little overzealous at times. Here, but Kyle Shanahan say, he's like a boxer. He even looks like Mike Tyson, a violent player. He's got to rein it back a little bit. If Dre Greenlaw can learn how to play under a little greater control, you already saw the metrics in this show. I put them up on the screen. Between him and Warner, it could be lights out. They're the only two linebackers, the only duo of linebackers in the NFL that both finished in the top 10 of pass coverage snaps. in 2022. The 49ers trust these guys. They have every reason to trust them. They're a huge reason, if not the primary reason why the team, on top of being great in coverage, was also the number 2 run defense behind a defensive line that it wasn't all that good this year. Outside of Nick Bosa, that unit struggled. These linebackers saved the 49ers' skins multiple times this past season. So when we talk about the state of the linebacker position, I can guarantee you that it is good for the 49ers. All right, time to answer some questions. What's up, everybody? Friday evening. Not a lot of people watching. I'm guessing it's people sick of Super Bowl media. But I'm going to have a Brock Purdy surgery update. We'll do that video in a little bit. That one will probably do a little bit better than these updates on positions not named quarterback, because people tend to like to go watch stuff about the quarterbacks. People talking about the Super Bowl. So is Mike. Does anybody have a score prediction? I have a Super Bowl prediction video, so I'm not going to get into that. You could look at the video elsewhere on the channel. Mike does say smash that like button. That would be nice. Why don't you guys do that? Mike also points out that I did post a prediction video. If anybody's interested, I'm not going to make you sit through that if you came here to watch stuff on 49ers linebackers. Nobody's talking about linebackers. Nobody has any questions. So I think that's going to be it. I don't know what else we're going to talk about right now. So I'm going to talk about Brock Purdy's injury in another video. We're going to have a Brock Purdy surgery update coming up soon. All right. State of the 49ers linebacker position. Go ahead, subscribe to The Athletic. Check out the article. It's in the description. I'll put it in the comment section. It is in the chat section. We went in depth on Warner, Greenlaw, Alshire, that whole unit. And Orton Burks played well this year too. So don't forget him. Special teams ace for the 49ers and linebacker depth. All right, everybody take care. Thanks again.